Have you been injured by an accident of history? Has your good name been tarnished by your past actions and misdeeds? Here at Wadsworth Longfellow Plath and Associates, we don't think that's fair.
I needed a reputation for honesty to enhance my stature as father of our country, but I had nothing in my past to recommend me as an overly honest person. Then, Wadsworth Longfellow Plath and Associates wrote me a myth about chopping down the cherry tree as a young boy and admitting my actions to my father. With their aggressive marketing techniques, soon the entire country believed this fable to be true. Thank you, Wadsworth Longfellow Plath and Associates. You helped me get where I am today.
Yes, those who cannot recall history are doomed to be our biggest clients. Just remember, the vested interests have good poets working on their side, and so should you. Our poets and fabulists will work with you day and night to create the image that you need, and we won't accept a penny until you see results. So for poetic image enhancement on any scale, be sure to call Wadsworth Longfellow Plath and Associates. We'll be sure to give you the reputation you don't deserve.
Uh-oh.
Sorry I'm late. What'd I miss?
Gosh, this is great! We sent Valerie and the doctor out to retrace the route of Paul Revere's ride. Well, just like in the Longfellow poem, you know, the midnight ride of Paul Revere. Anyway, everybody knows it, so it'll make a great opening. Then we'll get horses and we'll put the whole thing on just like it really happened.
Little boy, I feel inspired. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is still alive who remembers that famous day and year.
One if by land, and two if by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be, ready to ride and spread the alarm.
Do you know how far you were straying from the actual events?
I can't believe you fell for the poem. I thought you guys knew better than that. How many times do I have to tell you that just because it rhymes does not mean it tells the story of what actually happened?
Welcome to Reality Downs, where the truth always wins. We're here for the great race to Lexington and Concord. In Charlestown, wearing the silver silks, is the odds-on favorite, Paul Revere. Hank, tell us a little something about Paul.
Thanks, Peg. Paul's looking good tonight. It's amazing he found time to train for this event, given all his other occupations as a silversmith, bell maker, and American icon.
That's right, Hank. And starting from the north end of Boston, at 42-1 odds, wearing the leather silks, is William Dawes.
Dawes is actually very well known among the British Redcoats for finding ingenious ways to get right around their blockade in Boston. It'll be interesting to see how he copes with that tonight.
And lounging in Lexington is Dr. Samuel Prescott.
Prescott is a physician. He thinks he's just on a casual date tonight, but we all know he's on a date with destiny.
But first, let's find out what the weather conditions are for tonight's ride. Al?
Thank you, Peg, and hi, everyone. We have a cold front moving east to Boston this evening for the ride. High pressure will bring clear skies to Boston. The rain now ahead of the cold front in the warmer, more humid weather, but it looks a beautiful evening for the ride. Back to you, Peg.
Thanks, Al. Their goal, to reach John Hancock, Sam Adams, and this trunk of secret Revolutionary Whig documents before the advancing British troops, and make sure that all three escape safely to Woburn.
Sanctuary.
More ale, my dear?
My latte!
Now, your Longfellow poem has Revere riding through every single town and village in Middlesex County. An impossible feat.
Revere actually started. Ernie, trace this! In the north end of Boston, crossing the river into Charlestown, and then riding a fairly straight line through Medford and Menotomy.
Let me just point out here that Menotomy is no longer a town. What was once Menotomy is now Arlington and Somerville.
And into Lexington.
And he wasn't the only rider out there. Why, my 18th cousin, thrice removed, William Dawes, also started from Joseph Warren's house in the North End. However, he went south, through Boston, Roxbury, and Brookline before he came back up through Cambridge and Menotomy, and into Lexington.
Oh, excuse me. How do you get to Menotomy?
Did I mention that Menotomy is no longer a town?
Yes! Oh, okay, you go down here to the beauty shop, okay, you take a right, and then you go like a couple blocks in, you take a left at the donut shop, and then you go down there and you pass like a gas station, and you pass a clothing store, and it's got a like little yellow sundress in the window. Okay, it's really cute.
Let's get to the lights. No! The other lights!
One if by land, two if by sea.
Those weren't for Revere. In fact, Revere was supposed to be the one who hung the lanterns in the Old North Church. No, see, but he pawned the job off to this guy called Robert Newman and went out to ride himself. No, those lights were there for the other riders in case Revere didn't make it across the Charles River.
Hey, what's a Minuteman?
They were called Minutemen because it only took them a minute to reload and fire their weapons. Much faster than any British soldier could at the time. But everybody knows that.
They weren't called Minutemen because it only took them a minute to load and fire their muskets. Actually, any sharpshooter could off 3 rounds in a minute. No, they were called Minutemen because it only took them a minute to get dressed and ready to fight the British.
It was 2 by the village clock. When he came to the bridge at Concord Town, he heard the bleating of the flock. And the
Put the guitar down and back away from the guitar. You're under arrest for an MOH. That's a mutilation of history.
690, 690, contact 601.
The regulars are on their way to take away our ammo, but thanks to Dawes and Paul Revere, they'll meet our muskets blammo.
Oh, thanks to Dawes and Paul Revere, they'll meet our muskets blammo.
While we're here in Lexington upon the Minuteman Trail, oh.
The regulars are on their way to take you off to jail, oh!
The regulars are on their way to take you off to jail, oh.
But I haven't finished my set yet. Sam, come join me. Sam Adams, everybody.
I just want to mention that what you just saw was an example of poetic license.
Poetic license, changing actual historic facts to fit an artistic vision, much like what Henry Wadsworth Longfellow did in his poem, The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere.
John Hancock was not an 18th century lounge singer. He was a merchant, a leader of the rebellion, and the first signer of the Declaration of Independence.
I like it. Revere and Dawes successfully delivered their message to John Hancock, Sam Adams, and the trunk of secret Whig documents that it was time for them to leave Lexington for the safety of Woburn. Dawes, Revere, and Prescott then headed for Concord, intending to warn the townspeople of the advancing British regulars.
Hold it! Up ahead, British regulars.
Hey, what's the regular?
A regular is a cup of coffee with cream and sugar. It is not to be confused with the usual.
a regular is $1.29, but you can jumbo size it for 39 cents.
A regular is the term used to describe the professional British soldier stationed here in America before and during the Revolutionary War.
Absolutely correct. Up ahead, British regulars. There's only 2 of them.
We can take them.
Well, all right, surrender. You're outnumbered. Well, I'm out of here.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, I don't approve of this at all.
Hold it.
Wait a minute. Revere was captured? But he got away, right?
Yeah, I got away. But neither Paul Revere nor William Dawes ever made it to Concord. Only Samuel Prescott did. Revere escaped from the regulars and walked back to Buckman Tavern in Lexington. With Hancock, Adams, and the trunk, he thought, safely in Woburn, sanctuary, he could enjoy his well-earned rest. However, when he got to the tavern, he found...
That's why the ladies attract.
My sword!
My tablecloth.
My doily. But while Johnny Hancock was careful to remember his doily, there was one thing that he forgot. So, Revere and another patriot rescued the trunk and hid it in the swamp.
My latte.
So, if that's what really happened, why do the history books only talk about people like Hancock and Adams and Revere? Why don't the history books teach us more about people like Prescott and Dawes?
Because history is not a recording, it's a story. You don't have to be on a stamp or a coin to have been an important person. If you look past the myths, the truth is often more complicated and much more interesting.
Caddy corner across the street is this little public alley, and you go down it, and at the very end there's like this old guy sitting there, okay, and he sits there all the time. He's got this green bag, okay. Now if you look across the street from the guy with the green bag, okay, there's this little clothing shop, and it's got like shoes in the window, okay, and there's like these blue pair of like Robin's Egg blue pair of shoes, okay. You go left down there, you go down there a little while, it's like, oh, I'd say like 10 blocks, and then after you go about 10 blocks, you go underneath an overpass, and then that's Menominee Center.